It's on. President Trump is suing Hillary Clinton over the whole Russian collusion hoax that she manufactured. In this video, we're going to look at the lawsuits. We're going to see how they implicate a number of others involved in the whole Russian collusion farce. And we're going to look at it in light of a number of other lawsuits launched by patriots against an increasingly absurd partisan media. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Stevie with you. Great to be with you. As always, I am your daily fake news antidote. So come on in to your Patriot Professor's Den, where I help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent and insane times. So if you haven't done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, make sure to click on that link below and support this channel by visiting our awesome merch store that has all kinds of t-shirts and swag for you and the Patriots in your life. I've got on my I'll Be Back t-shirt here. We've got our Let's Go Brandon line of shirts. We got brand new Freedom Trucker shirts, rhino hunting shirts, you name it, all just by clicking on that link below. You're going to love it. You know, the most common feedback we get is how often random people are going to come up to you and give you these super awesome compliments on your shirts when you wear them out in public. It is just so cool. Your purchase, of course, will be spreading Patriot hope as well as supporting this channel. So make sure to click on that link below or go to store.turleytalks.com. That is store.turleytalks.com. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. President Trump is suing the failed 2016 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton for slander over her role in concocting the Russian collusion hoax that cost taxpayers tens of millions of dollars in a completely wasted investigation by Robert Mueller. The new lawsuit, filed Thursday in federal court, accuses Clinton as well as a number of other actors such as former FBI Director James Comey, the Democratic National Committee, and a host of others of a racketeering conspiracy for allegedly joining together to deliberately and falsely accuse Trump of colluding with Russia during the 2016 presidential campaign. It's a huge lawsuit accusing the defendants of, again, racketeering and the conspiracy to commit injurious falsehood with unspecified damages that are estimated to be in the tens of millions. In a complaint that numbers 108 pages, the text reads, quote, "In the run-up to the 2016 presidential election, Hillary Clinton and her cohorts orchestrated an unthinkable plot, one that shocks the conscience and is an affront to this nation's democracy. Acting in concert, the defendants maliciously conspired to weave a false narrative that their Republican opponent, Donald J. Trump, was colluding with a hostile foreign sovereignty. The actions taken in furtherance of their scheme, falsifying evidence, deceiving law enforcement, and exploiting access to highly sensitive data sources are so outrageous, subversive, and incendiary that even the events of Watergate pale in comparison." Great Lou Dobbs tweeted out how sweet it is. Discovery in this case will be epic. All the evidence is on President Trump's side. And that's true. If they can get to discovery, the evidence will indeed be epic. That certainly seems to be the case with the Durham investigation. You might recall, just before the whole situation Ukraine blew up, but literally, back in February, the Durham investigation submitted a court filing that alleged that the Clinton campaign did indeed pay a technology company to infiltrate servers belonging to Trump Tower and later the White House for the express purpose of trying to link Trump to Russia. The Trump lawsuit is absolutely right. This makes Watergate look like a fraternity prank by comparison. The court filing involved a Clinton operative by the name of Michael Sussman, who's been indicted by Durham. Sussman is one of Clinton's attorneys who helped to arrange the financial transaction between the Clinton campaign and the Steele dossier that all those, salacious and fabricated details about Trump and a fictitious past visit he made to Russia that Putin was supposedly using as blackmail against him. So Sussman was in the middle. He was the middleman and all that between the Steele dossier and the financing, its payment. But it turns out that Sussman apparently did a lot more than that. Apparently, Sussman met with tech executives where they discussed infiltrating servers in Trump Towers and then later in the White House in order to try to pin Trump to Russia. According to the former director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, who has been meeting with special counsel John Durham, the original purpose of the Russian collusion hoax was a deliberate attempt by Hillary Clinton to distract the public's attention away from her email scandal that was absolutely rocking her campaign. And then, after she lost 2016, the Russia hoax became a way of delegitimizing Trump's presidency, a hoax that the mainstream media all too gleefully signed on to and even contributed to. And so Trump's lawsuit is but the latest in an attempt to bring some semblance of accountability to bear on this horrific corruption in the Clinton campaign and in the intelligence agencies. Now, obviously, this would seem to bear at least some resemblance to the massive lawsuits that the Covenant Catholic high schooler Nick Sandmann filed against CNN and the Washington Post and a whole host of other media outlets a couple of years back for defamation. You'll recall that Sandmann sued a number of legacy media outlets in suits totaling $800 million in damages after the outlets did everything they could to disparage and vilify Sandmann as a pro-Trump racist. When video of him and other kids at the high school supposedly were mocking this Native American drummer, they went viral. And we now know from video that shows the whole context that the Native American drummer was actually a far-left activist who approached the students and, in effect, mocked them. The students were the ones minding their own business there in Washington, D.C., and a supposed Native American song that they were singing around this far-left activist ended up turning out to be their own high school song. They weren't mocking him at all. It was a disaster for the mainstream media for sure. And it was proof that something that we often talk about on this channel, the rise of the network society, was indeed happening right before our very eyes. Network society is a process by which information is increasingly dispersed away from centralized control, as is the case of corporate media outlets who once held a monopolization over information. Because of the internet, information is increasingly dispersed away from centralized control and is becoming increasingly decentralized and available to anyone and everyone with very little to no corporate mediation. I was also reminded of Kyle Rittenhouse's recent announcement that he was planning to launch a whole slew of lawsuits against news media outlets as well as celebrity personalities that slandered him during his very riveting trial. I'll certainly be interested to see what comes of that. In the meantime, I have to say that I'm not particularly impressed with the number of articles that push back against these litigation efforts by claiming that they have no merit whatsoever. There's no chance Trump's going to win any of these lawsuits, or Rittenhouse. They could all forget it. Zero chance any of these lawsuits have any shred of merit. To me, that just absolutely misses the point in all this. It's a kind of whistling past the graveyard, as it were. And that's because what these lawsuits do, ultimately, is they galvanize, they rally, and unify the patriot base like very few things can. Lawsuits against Hillary Clinton and her surrogates at CNN are seen by Trump's base as one of the means by which patriots are fighting back. And this is key, if they lose, like these pundits are saying they will, if they lose, that's just further evidence that the system is corrupt. The permanent political class is never held accountable for any of their wrongdoing, right? If we did the same thing that they do, on a regular basis, we'd go to jail. We'd go to prison and they'd get promoted. They get promotions, we get prison. Even my namesake, Jonathan Turley, pointed out that the recent dismissal of Sarah Palin's defamation suit against the New York Times, it calls into question precisely how a newspaper could ever be held accountable to the disparaging partisan nonsense that they publish. So I applaud these efforts by President Trump, as well as Kyle Rittenhouse and a whole host of other conservative patriots are currently suing the media or left-wing activists who believe they're totally beyond reproach in their ongoing character assassinations. These actions galvanize the right in fighting back against the corruption of our permanent political class and our media class, a galvanizing that promises to grow even more intense for the foreseeable future. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it on Biden getting absolutely humiliated in Europe, all as he actually brings the world closer to World War III. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.